Hello and welcome to another very exciting screencast on lab safety rules. Before you start, you need to have your notebook open to page 3 and you need to have your textbook open to pages R10 and R11. You can find those pages in any of the green sections in your textbook. When you have those things ready, then we'll begin. The first thing I want to show you is how to set up your notes in your notebook. The first thing you want to do is put the date, today's date, in the upper left-hand corner of your notebook. Next, you want to go ahead and put a title, and that's the same title you're going to write in your table of contents. When you begin your notes, you always want to start with headings, and these headings are generally, you want to put them in like capitals or a different color, and you definitely want to underline them so that you know that that's a heading. Then once you start writing your notes, you want to indent a little bit and then either use dots or dashes or numbers to separate the different pieces of your notes. And then once you need to write the next heading, then you go back over to the left-hand side where that red line is, and then you start your other notes underneath here once again. Okay? Here we go. The first heading we're going to write is directions. And again, that's on the left-hand side by the red line, and you want to put them in all capitals and underline it. The first rule under directions is to make sure you read all the directions before starting. You always want to know all the procedures for the lab before you start. That way, if you have any questions, you can ask me there at that point for clarification, so that you know exactly what it is you need to do. Next, please do not begin or touch anything until told to do so. I will usually have labs set out ahead of time on the back counters, and I do not want you to go back there and start playing with things or looking to see what it is we're doing. So please don't begin or touch anything until I let you know it's okay to do so. Next, please don't experiment on your own. Sometimes you don't know what kind of reaction will happen when you put two things together. And so to be safe, if you ever want to do something on your own, please ask me first before you do anything. And then lastly, please tell the teacher if you're hurt. If you get cut or electrocuted or anything else, please let me know right away. Please don't leave thinking that you're going to get in trouble if you come and tell me. You're probably going to get in trouble later for not following the rules, but right then and there, I need to know that you're okay, and if you're not, I need to get you to the nurse. So please let me know right away. All right, our next heading is dress code. So again, put that to the left-hand side by that red line, and then don't forget to indent each of the separate notes that we talk about. First under dress code is that you need to wear goggles when heating an object or when chemicals, glassware, or sharp objects can get in your eyes. Now, I know that these goggles look silly, but when we're all wearing them, we all look silly, so we'll look unfashionable together. So please always wear them to protect your eyes and be safe. Next, if you have long hair, whether you're a girl or a boy, you do need to tie it back. It can be very dangerous to have hair in your face you won't be able to see, but also if we were ever to use a flame, your hair could catch on fire, which obviously wouldn't be very good. So always tie back your long hair. Remove any loose clothing. Right now it's fairly warm and it's not an issue, but when it gets colder and we start wearing long sleeves and sweaters and hoodies, we need to be able to take those things off so that our sleeves don't get caught in any of the equipment or get caught in a flame. Now you notice at the bottom that it says you're supposed to draw the 3 icons. If you look in your book on the left-hand side of the dress code section, you see 3 little red circles. One of them says goggles, one says apron, and one says gloves. Those are all pictures that represent what you need to use when we're doing a lab. So what you need to do on the left-hand side of your margin, on the left-hand side of that red line, go ahead and draw 3 circles and then draw the pictures that are inside and the titles that are underneath them. You will be tested on the pictures and making sure that you know what those pictures represent. So please go ahead and draw them, and when you're ready, you can start up again. Our next section is heating and fire safety. First of all, it's important to keep your work area neat and clean. If it's messy or there's a lot of stuff and junk around, it's easy to knock things over, which can catch on fire if we're heating anything up. So it's always important to have a work area that's neat and clean. Next, never, never, never reach over a flame to get something. Make sure that you always either walk around or go around with your arm to reach something that's on the other side of a flame. Please don't ever try reaching over to get something. Always point objects to be heated away from you. So if we were to heat something up in a test tube, you want to make sure that the test tube opening is away from your face, so in case something bubbles out or explodes out of it, that it is not pointed at you. However, please make sure you're not pointing at your lab partner, because we don't want that stuff coming out at them either. Next, never heat anything in a closed container. In other words, never heat anything that has a lid on it. You know that as things get warmer, pressure builds up inside of the bottle, and either the bottle could shatter or the lid could pop off, which is extremely dangerous. So always make sure that your containers have an opening to release the pressure. It's kind of like when you're microwaving something in your microwave and you have a closed pouch, and the directions always say to poke a few holes in there. Well, that's to allow the steam and the pressure that's building up inside of the bag to escape. There's a few more rules under heating and fire safety, so continue indenting underneath that heading. Know where the fire extinguisher and the fire blankets are. The fire extinguisher is located just inside the door on the right-hand side, and the fire blankets are in the back by the pencil sharpeners. I'll be showing you a video later on where these things are in the classroom. Make sure that you never touch the fire extinguisher. That is actually for the teachers to use. We've been properly trained in how to use them, so always go and get a teacher if there's a need for using that. The fire blanket is used if there is someone catches on fire, or we want to quickly put something, a fire out, then we would throw the blanket on there. Okay. Next, if you're unsure if something is hot, treat it as if it were. Use mitts or tongs to handle. A lot of times you don't know by looking at a pot or a glass cup if it's actually hot. I mean, how many times have you ever reached into the microwave and went to go pick something up and realized that it's burning hot? Or you turned on your stove and realized that you put the wrong burner on, or you didn't realize you put the wrong burner on, went and grabbed the handle of the pot and ended up burning your hand. Most materials don't change colors when they get heated, so if we're not sure if something is hot, then we always pretend that it is. We just assume that it is. So use tongs or use some kind of mitt or towel to pick something up with. Never use your hands. And lastly, don't throw hot substances into the trash. As you can see by our little picture, oftentimes that can start a fire because there's all kinds of papers inside the trash can. So if we do have something hot to throw away, we will definitely put it to the side somewhere to cool off, and then when it's appropriate, then I'll show you how to throw it away. Okay? But never throw anything that's hot into the trash. Alright, in this section we have 2 icons to draw. So look in your book, and we have fire safety and heating safety. Please draw those to the left of that red line in your notebook, and make sure that you add the title to it. When you're ready, we'll continue. Our last section for this set of rules on this screencast is electrical safety. First of all, never use electrical equipment with a frayed cord. Frayed means that, there's a special covering outside the wires, and when that separates from the plug, it exposes the wires underneath it. That can be extremely dangerous. So don't ever use a cord that you see is exposed, and putting tape around it is not a solution. Okay, so please do not use any type of cord that is frayed. Our next rule is to unplug a cord by pulling on the plug, not the cord. So this is not the correct way to take a plug out. I know many times when let's say you're vacuuming and you're across the room and you're too lazy to walk across the room and you pull on that cord. Well, if you do that enough, you're going to end up having a frayed cord like we do up here, where this covering comes off and it exposes the wires. So you don't want to pull on it this way. You want to actually pull it by the plug. That's why the plug is there, and it has a nice shape to it that's perfect for holding. So always pull it out by the plug, not the cord. And then please do not let the cord hang over the side where equipment can be pulled down, or where someone can trip over it. Okay, so we don't want to have cords hanging down like this or along the floor here. Now there is some cords behind my desk, so that's why it's important that you do not go behind my desk when you leave the classroom. Always go in front, so that you're not tripping over any of that. The overhead cord is there, and there may be some other cord there, and if you trip over it, some very expensive equipment's going to fall to the floor. So always go in front of my desk, please, and not behind. Okay, we have a few more under electrical safety. Do not let the cord hang by the water. Sometimes we will be doing labs by the sinks. We may be using a lamp, or we may be using the microscopes, and they all do plug in. So make sure, first of all, that the plug is not hanging into the sink itself, but more importantly, as people wash their hands, that the counter itself is not wet. You don't want a cord hanging in the water, because that's just a recipe for being electrocuted. And if you do see any problems with the electrical plugs or cords or anything else, please come tell me about it right away. Don't try to fix it yourself. Go ahead and give me the equipment, and I'll give you a new one. Alright, there's one icon to be drawn, so go back to your book, please, and draw that one icon. And we will be stopping here for screencast number 1 on lab safety. When you're ready, go ahead and take a break, and we'll go to screencast number 2.